Hello, this is Brian Hegney, instructor of Game and Interactive Media Design here at High Point University. We have come to the point where you are finished with your work. Let's go ahead and save that just to make sure we don't lose it. Save as, and of course, what am I going to do? Rename it. Mashup 04. Why do I do that? Because I have lost things in the past. I have corrupted files in the past. And my boss has walked in and said, "Hey, Hegney, let's bring this project back to where it was 2 weeks ago." I can assure you, not doing a darn thing and just going back into a folder and opening up what you worked on 2 weeks ago in 2 seconds is so much better than having to spend an entire day editing something that should have only taken 1 second to do. So that's why I do that, and I hope you do that too. So let's talk about editing this. Right now, this is a PRPROJ. You can see it up here at the top. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. It says, hey, Adobe Premiere Pro, Premiere, blah, 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 fair use Premiere, mashup04.prproj. I can assure you, if you emailed this PRPROJ file to your grandparent, your parent, your sibling even, as cool as they are, they would not know what to do with it. If you uploaded it to YouTube, YouTube would not play it. This PRPROJ file is useless to YouTube and to many people. And this is also your work. This is your editing baby, right? You've spent so long on this. When you do want to give this to somebody to upload to YouTube, you need to export it out of your PRPROJ as a single video file. So that's what we're going to do. The first thing we are going to do is realize that at this point it is important that you have your timeline selected, or your program monitor, which monitors the program or your timeline. Either one of these selected, highlighted in blue, is going to be helpful. And like, I can click this. If you have anything selected in here, that's fine. Notice what I'm doing right now. I have an in and an out point, and I have the Lion King, like one of the clips, selected, and that obviously selects the timeline. Now I'm ready. I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Export Media. That's what you do, folks. File, export media. You cannot save this. And again, saving and exporting, they're very similar things, and different software will treat them differently. You are not alone in not necessarily knowing what each software does. Like in Photoshop, you can save as a JPEG, save as a PNG, save as a PDF. But in Premiere, we need to export this as a playable media file. So I'm going to click Media, Export Media. A big export media dialog box comes up. And a couple things you'll notice. Let's see. We have the preview on the left side. What you need to know is, by default, the range, what it's going to export. And you know what? I'm just going to export it. No, I'm not. Okay. Because there's a couple other issues we need to talk about. If I were to just push export right here, right now, it would not export my full project. Why not? Because the source range defaults to sequence in to out. What that means is it's exporting the in to out, the part I played in the previous video. So how do we stop that? Well, we could say, you know what? Click that little drop down, export the entire sequence. There. Notice something changed. This blue line here changed. Now, if it was sequence in to out, you could have also have just said, you know what? I'm going to drag these little triangles until it's the beginning and the end right there. And there we have it. And of course, we can preview what's going to be exported there by dragging the playhead here. So right now it says custom. If we had just said entire sequence, it would have been the same exact thing. All I know, like, I don't know if you're going to export the entire sequence, because maybe you have more stuff in your timeline. For instance, look at this stupid part. Stream The Lion King and Disney Plus. I don't want that, so I'm going to move my little triangle to right there. Yeah. Oops. Right there. Now it jumps back to this frame because that's where my playhead is. Right? And now I can just verify that's what it's going to look like. Yay! Okay. That's the first thing. Make sure you're exporting the proper stuff. Number 2, your export settings. Now, what do you want? If your client gave you proper settings, then that's what you'll export to. If you created this Premiere project to those settings, all you have to do is click Match Sequence Settings, and you'll export it at whatever your client asks for, right? If you've recorded video, you create a sequence using that video, then by clicking Match Sequence Settings, you're going to automatically export the proper settings. If you don't do that, another thing to do is just say, you know what? Set it to H.264, because that's another very popular format, and then you're going to match source to the high bit rate. If you don't match source, so let's say you do Facebook 720p, oh, that didn't change much. I wanna see something change. All of these have 640 by 640, right? So this is if you want to do a Twitter Square video. And as you think about communicating on different social media platforms or different networks, sometimes you'll want a wide frame video, sometimes you want a square video, sometimes you want a portrait-based video. It all depends. Obviously, movies and television are now wide frame, so let's go ahead and set this back to match source high bit rate. And what you'll notice is the video we originally downloaded has these black bars here. I'm going to forbid that later on, just so you know. I'm okay with it right now because this is a lot to soak in. That's step 2, is making sure we've got our export settings right. Again, I don't care if you match your sequence settings or if you do H.264. The next thing is the Lion King, or the output name. Right now, this is the dumbest name possible, and it doesn't tell you necessarily where you're saving it to. If you look at your summary, you'll see, oh, it's outputting to D drive. Somewhere. It's really hard to tell because it's truncated. So what you want to do is click the blue output name. And I'm going to come here, D drive, go to where my navigate to where my folder is. 2020 Spring, 1112, Fair Use, Lion King Rises, and I'm going to create an export folder using the new folder button. If you're on, if you're using a Mac-based computer, you'll have a different way of creating a new folder. You could always control-click in here and say new folder. I think Macs do that as well. And I'm going to call it exports. Double click in here. What a terrible name. I am just going to call this whatever name I want to, which is like Lion King Rises _ Hegney. Again, I never put spaces in my file names. If you want to be a loser and do that, no, just kidding, you're not a loser. If you want to put spaces in, that's totally fine, unless the platform you uploaded to crashes when it has spaces in file names, which it happens. Okay. So I'm going to do Lion King Rises _ Hegney, save, and now we've made a nice little output name, and it's in a great folder. It's in my project folder. That means when I upload it to Microsoft OneDrive, everything's going to be there. I don't have to worry about everything else down here, and I'm just going to say export. And it's going to take a few moments. It shouldn't export right away. If it exports right away, then you must have done something. You must be exporting like only 2 seconds, because video takes a while to export. It has to render every single frame. It's 30 frames a second. It's going to take longer than our Audition exporting did, because that was just audio. This is audio and video. Great, and it just exported, and of course I always go back and I verify that it exported properly by going to the folder that I exported it to, find it, and I'm going to go ahead, right-click that, or control-click it, and open with anything that will open it. I'm okay with Windows Media Player. Here it is. Well, that did not render right. Let's go. There we go. Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. By the way, you notice I listened to it and I heard a third roar? That doesn't make sense. Why was there a third roar? Oh my gosh. If I go back to my project, I've zoomed in. I'm going to zoom out. Oh, there is a third roar there. Why did I put a third roar there? Because I just had it there and I totally forgot. Darn it, delete it. I'm going to have to re-export that. Obviously, I don't care about it right now because I'm not doing this for a grade, but you can see I didn't even plan for this, but always, always, always watch your export after you export it, because so many times students will export it without audio, without video. It cuts off at the beginning or the end, and these are things that you can just make sure after you export it, go ahead and watch
You
it.
are as precious to me
Oh, good.
as you were to your own mother and father. I swore to them that I would protect you, and I haven't.
Ooh! I love how Simba, when he raises him, it really is synced to the audio. I didn't plan for that. That was just coincidence. So I left it there. There we go.
The bears looked up into the spring. Really? Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's all I did. But you can see how much care goes into syncing up the video with the audio, and that's something we're gonna really pay attention to as we move forward. Is caring how that works. Okay, in the next video, I'm going to show you how we upload this to YouTube and embed it to our blog. Bye!